Hey everyone, welcome back to Red Lipstick Reality TV. It's your girl Anna. We're back, y'all. We're back for episode 9 of Sister Wives season 19. This episode is called Baptism by Fire. For all of you, this has been a crazy week. I am glad to just get back to some normal television. I did, though, come back to work and have a ton of work to do. So I'm glad I'm even getting this video out, to be honest, because there was a lot going on. So I'm thankful that you guys are all back to join me. I'm kind of looking forward to just looking at nothing but TV that does not impact my life in any way, shape, or form. And this is exactly what the doctor ordered. If you guys have not been watching The Penguin also, you should definitely get on that. If you're new here, hey, would you guys mind hitting that subscribe button? I love to actually see you guys come back, and then you'll actually be notified when I drop new content. So hit the subscribe button, turn those bells on, make sure you say I think it's like all reminders or all content. Either way, if we go live or if I post a new video, you want to get that. So make sure it's on all, okay? And if you're just coming to visit me and you're coming to say hey and let me know that you like my content, just hit the like button. That really does help me a lot with what we're doing over here. So I'm excited to talk about this. One huge call out for me is Aspen is the official MVP of this season. She is saving episodes that are absolute trash. And I'll tell you what, she's a winner. And it makes me, number two, it also makes me miss Logan. And I'm wondering, Logan, during this time period, watching his mom transition and go through all this stuff with his dad, what his reaction would be to his mom going through this, similar to how we're seeing Aspen's response to what her mom is going through, because they were basically running those families, right? Wouldn't you guys all love to hear how Logan is interpreting everything and seeing everything? So I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you would love that. We'll never get it. He didn't even want his wedding name, but oh my God, to hear Logan's thoughts right now, I'd pay big money for that special. I would say that this episode, you guys, was not that interesting to me, even though we were getting this big showdown between Cody and David. So I will say I at least got like one or so WTF moments around that time period. But for the most part, this was like the chillest episode. I'm not going to say it was totally boring, but it also wasn't the best, right? Okay, so that being said, y'all, let's go ahead and move forward with the overview of this episode. Segment 1 basically is just starting off in Flagstaff, y'all. So they're just giving us a prequel to what's going to be happening, and then they just kind of show Janelle showing up at Mary's house. They're going to be basically talking about Coyote Pass. We've been waiting for this conversation because Coyote Pass has just kind of been a shadow or a cloud hanging over everything, and the money and how the money is being operated has also been the same. And all of us have been really worried and concerned that the OG3, when they leave these marriages, would be like high and dry, that they wouldn't get their just due, and that Cody and Robin would try to pull a fast one on them, and take their loyalty and their kindness for weakness, right? Clearly, we see that Janelle is past that point of trusting that Robin and Cody are going to do the right thing. And we're also going to see that Mary clearly is not. So moving forward, oh, just for the record, guys, I have a little bit of a cough, so I'm going to try to cut that stuff out if I can, but I'm going to try, okay? Excuse me. Okay, so we jump straight from just that prequel of showing us that we know those two are going to have a conversation, and we jump right to Cody shoveling snow. You guys, I don't care about him and all his little family moments with the one family. Like, I love these fun moments when you had it with all your kids. It's actually one of the reasons why I love this show. Seeing you just with this one family after you abandoned the first one, I don't care. Next. We finally jump back to Mary and Janelle, which is what I actually care about. Also, this is where Mary kind of finally acknowledges that she's relocating to Janelle. Keep in mind, these women are really not friends. So they're not talking. They're not having these conversations, which I don't know how you guys feel about them, but kind of like the odd space and the lack of communication between these women and also between her and Christine too. It's kind of crazy to me, like when I think about that, because they shared a whole home together. They raise kids together, and it's like literally like they are strangers now. To go from that to being complete strangers is like, was any of that true? Like what you guys were saying about building a family together. I mean, obviously we see it with Janelle because Janelle had all the kids. I mean, sorry, with Christine because Christine had all the kids too, and Janelle did. But how was Mary's? How does Mary become so separated? And I can only bring it down to Mary didn't have enough kids. And I don't know how I feel about that as a woman that doesn't have children. Sometimes it can be isolating from friends and family that do have them or have many because they have kids. So they have, I guess, some like-minded things. So they end up gravitating towards each other. So I'm wondering how difficult it is, if this is a pattern for women in plural families, if they are unable to have children, do they tend to be isolated? And it feels pretty sad now that I think about it. Anyway, they jump back to Mary and Janelle together. And I find it's funny because Mary's kind of pity-patting around about just coming out and saying, hey, I'm divorced from Cody. Like, we're done. And even Janelle's doing the same. And I'm like, why are you guys, again, why are you acting like strangers? Just say, we're divorced. We're done. I mean, I don't know who you're trying to save face for or why you're trying to avoid information because y'all are on a TV show. So even if you're not having this conversation right in this moment, we're going to see it on TV. So I just don't understand the pity-patting around about saying that you're divorced. What I did find interesting, though, in this segment is that Janelle calls out Mary's loyalty and kind of says she's like loyal like a dog, which we all know with like puppies and dogs. I mean, they love their owners even if they beat them, right? Which is why humans don't deserve dogs. Okay, let's just say that we just don't deserve dogs because they are loyal to that point. But Mary, although she's loyal, she's not dumb. She just, she dealt with a lot of emotional abuse that most of us would not. But I think when you grow up in one of those high control systems of religion, do you know any different? Have you seen any different? Have you seen women find success after leaving polygamy? I don't know if that's the case for Mary. And also, if you're just still connected to the religion, which I believe Mary still is, I mean, this probably also feels like a failure for her. And then she's thinking about her afterlife. How is that? Is she going to just be floating in purgatory? How is that going to impact her? So I just thought it was funny that Janelle was calling it out. But I was thinking in that moment when she's calling Mary out for loyalty, I'm like, Janelle, if you don't look in the mirror, girl, like Janelle let this man not only abandon her children. He had actually been doing that for a while now. Like it didn't just start at COVID. He had already been doing that. She was already getting the short end of the stick for forever. And she just went along with that for a very long time. She just let him kind of drag her along. Even now, when she was last episode, when she was having the conversation with Cody, and she's like, even now, you kind of have that little hook. I'm like, how at this point could this man have any level of attractiveness to you at this point? You're just as loyal as Mary. It's just funny you don't really see it in yourself the way you see it in Mary. So I'm going to say, Janelle, sister girl, get the mirror because y'all are one and the same. You're just not looking at yourself. You're just watching Mary. You think Mary should have left. You're saying about time for Mary. We're saying about time for you, girl. About time for you too. So I will say this, you guys. I do like that they're having this like touch base with these two, and they're talking about how they feel about the family splitting up. I think it's nice for Mary and Janelle to both hear from each other about the wishes and the hopes that they had for their families and how they actually were on the same page. And none of them wanted to see this. I think that's kind of nice to feel like, at least with us two, we were not trying to sabotage each other's marriages. And I feel like both of them in that moment, I think they understood that, at least for each other. I don't believe when Robin says this, that she's sacrificed in the same way that Mary and Janelle have, to the point where you could really buy into the fact that Robin really, really is that sad about this. She might be sad about the image of polygamy, but she wasn't willing to give up anything to obtain those things. And that's really the big difference. I also say this, do you think that this family, that Christine, Janelle, Mary, and Cody, do you think they would have stayed together if Robin had never joined the family? Like, let me know if you guys, how you feel about that. Let me know in the comments if you think the entire demise of this really comes down to Robin. Not to say that it's all Robin's fault, but if Cody had never met his soulmate and it was just the OG3, would they have stayed together? Curious what you guys think. All right, here we go, y'all. I'm going to move on. Actually, no, I'm not going to move on. I'm going to actually give a WTF moment here. Janelle starts explaining, you guys, what's going on with Coyote Pass to Mary. Mary looks like a deer caught in headlights. It's like she has no clue. She hasn't been following along. She hasn't been paying any attention to what is happening with her estate. And I think the big difference as to why she hasn't been holding on to it as tight as Janelle has is Janelle has put everything of hers into Coyote Pass. The difference is Mary still has her B&B and she has her clothing business. So she had built herself a pretty solid estate outside of Coyote Pass. So I don't feel as though, number one, she has as much of a panic when it comes to all of her investments being wrapped into it. But also, number two, I don't know if Janelle will ever admit it, but I know Janelle she's going to make sure Cody doesn't get away with things. Whereas I don't feel like Mary yet is detached enough from him to be at that same mindset that Janelle is. Janelle is like, you're not going to get away with anything. Mary's still too fresh. Do you know what I'm saying? She's still too fresh and still too concerned about how Cody feels and what the outcomes and how Robin feels. She's concerned about people that aren't really that concerned for her. Mind you, we've been told by her that Robin barely reached out to her, that Robin really could care less if she really saw Mary. Like, she wouldn't see Robin for months. So I just feel like the concern Mary has for them is beyond what she actually should. But that's what I'm going to put in my WTF moment, y'all. It's going to come right here. Put it there.
I have been under the impression for many, many years that you're the one who's been the one that's been taking care of all the family finances.
All I am is the bookkeeper. I am beginning to realize that Cody has been telling everybody that I somehow was controlling the money. And trust me, if I really was, we would be in a very different position. I'm going to suggest to you that you protect your interest in it as far as what you're entitled to, a quarter of it.
Okay, y'all. You guys, Cody's been basically lying to the other members of the family and basically telling them that Janelle's been managing these finances. And he's been saying that because he knows the other women in the family trust Janelle. And Janelle's like, well, I've been bookkeeping, but I haven't been in control of where the dollars are going. So I bet you Mary and when Christine was involved are thinking, oh, these investments. Sorry if there's extra noise, guys. They're Garbage Man and everybody else. I'm wondering during this time period with the money, even when Christine was there, that Cody was basically telling them that Janelle was running the finances still, even though Janelle was just doing bookkeeping. But it was when he was making like dumb investments or maybe there was huge gaps in it, he was just telling Janelle, hey, this is what's happening, and not updating the rest of the family as to where the money was going. And I feel like he felt like he could manipulate Janelle more when it came to finances, especially when there were gaps or extra expendages, because she would just kind of like avoid conflict and confrontation. And I think if Christine and Mary would have been alerted more, I think these conversations would have happened more. Because notice the first thing Mary brings up is, well, not the first thing, but down the line in this conversation, she says, well, why don't we just all four get together? You know, because then Mary's not backing down from this convo at this point. She's like, well, why don't we just all get together? I'll talk about it. Janelle has been avoiding those tough conversations for so long that now that they're coming up, She has not been clear and vocal, besides being on TV, about how she really feels about Cody and Robin. And Mary has an unhealthy loyalty to Robin. And so now we've got conflict. Where I thought you guys' this conversation was going to be like really easy and like, oh yeah, let's get them. It was actually the complete opposite of that, and it low-key pissed me off. Because Mary knows that Janelle is the money person. So why would she be questioning Janelle? And what Janelle's saying is kind of crazy to me. You think that, like, has she ever been known to lie about money? She's not talking about her personal relationship, because she's talking about the money, the finances. So I think I was also extremely frustrated at this point, because Mary felt very oblivious, like she hasn't been paying any kind of attention. That is also very frustrating. If I was Janelle, I would be like, how are you this checked out with this much money on the line? But that shows me that you have one kid, which is probably the selfish nature in which Mary has existed their entire existence. And Janelle's like, I've got 6 to think about. You've got 1. Maybe that's why you're so checked out. You can just check out of things. With 6 kids, she doesn't have the liberty to check out. Mary also brings up, oh, well, you robbed Peter to pay Paul. You guys are not in that same position, Mary. You guys are getting paid from a television show. Most of his children are adults now. So if he's having to do that, that means that he is consistently mismanaging money. He talks about having all these jobs and businesses. Where is the money going? Where's the money going, Mary? Y'all aren't broke people with 2 people working in one house like you were in Utah anymore. Or when you first moved to Vegas. Y'all are not in those positions anymore. So what's going on? All right, y'all, moving on. Segment 2. Actually, before I do that, I will say this. Watching how Mary acts and how she has this weird loyalty to Cody and Robin in this moment shows me exactly why Christine and Janelle really don't deal with her that much, because you can't tell her anything or feel safe telling her anything. So I'm going to give Janelle and Christine grace from here on out for the fact that they don't really want a relationship with Mary, because she, I guess, just like Janelle said, she's got a weird loyalty. She's got a weird loyalty to the wrong people. Okay, everybody, we're back. I'm sorry, my entire segment 2 was cut and beyond. No sound. So I have to come back, but that's okay, because I'm ready to talk about it. So I'm moving on, y'all. Segment 2 of this episode was interesting and not interesting, because it started out with David and Christine going house shopping. Once again, you guys, I don't really care to watch this stuff. It's basically like watching a prequel movie, but for reality shows. And what I'm recognizing is that it doesn't work the same for reality TV that it does for a movie. I like prequels for movies. I don't like them for reality TV. That's pretty evident as I am experiencing this show right now, because Christine did tell us that they were going to, highlight and show the courting of her and David. And it turns out I don't really care about it. In fact, all it's doing is pointing out areas in which I can critique her on how fast she moved and how she dealt with her kids surrounding that. That's all it's done. It hasn't brought me any real levels of joy that I would have loved for a prequel to bring me, and what a prequel usually does in a movie. But reality TV, it doesn't work. Moving on, though, I do find there's a few points that I did take from this segment. One of them is that I find it interesting that Christine was in a very long-term marriage and relationship, but she was basically operating like a single person or a single mom for that entire time. So I have to give her some grace with how she's learning to navigate things, and because she's really never been in a one-on-one relationship where she was the focal point and also he was and she was the only one that could make him the focal point as well. She didn't have any other women where he was a focus for somebody else. And I think back, she brings up in this moment when they moved to Vegas and they all had their brand new homes, and they were all picking out, paint, floor plans, all those different things. Christine brings up that she really just did that all on her own. However, when Cody was working with Robin, when Robin was doing her home, he was really invested and they were like doing things all together, more like a couple. And it felt like her, Mary, Janelle were kind of just doing their things solo. And when I really thought about that, I was kind of like, well, the OJ3 were, in my opinion, were really excited to just have something of their own, that they didn't have to share with multiple other women. It was their own homes for the first time. Because the only other person that had not lived in polygamy, like right out of high school, was Janelle. But even she had gotten married really young to Mary's brother and then went straight to be with Cody. And she's always been kind of independent. But Christine and Mary, they weren't like that. And they really, and also remember, Christine was always hating being the basement wife. So this was like the first time she wasn't a basement wife, that she got to do what she wanted to do. And I wouldn't be shocked in that moment where when she looks back on it, she sees it as Cody was not interested. And it was more so, maybe Christine, you didn't really ask him either. I don't think you cared about his opinion in that moment. I think it really was about you and your personal independence. And I think what you're maybe more sad about is that your first instinct was not to partner with Cody through that. It was more so for you to find independence. And I think you might have some regrets around that. So although I kind of want to beat Cody up about that, there tends to be a rewriting of history, in my opinion, a little bit with Christine in this moment. I mean, she can't always be the victim in every scenario. Just like we say Robin plays victim, we say Cody plays victim. This moment kind of felt like Christine playing victim a little bit. And for me, I'm like, you can't always be the victim. I think Cody might have, I mean, we know he's a narcissist. We know he's self-absorbed, but this might be the one time where I'm like, you know, girl, I think you kind of had tunnel vision when it came to yourself. I don't think you were really asking him any questions about his opinion when it came to the home. Just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Moving on though, y'all. Segment 3. Keep in mind, this episode's slow. Not slow. It actually moved really fast. It's kind of just boring. It doesn't really have a lot of material that you would be having deep, full discussions over. It's pretty surface level stuff until you get towards the end. And even that was wishy-washy. I really do not have, like I said, I only have a couple WTF moments and like one mic drop moment, because that's how, whatever it was. I hate to say that, y'all, but it was low-key whatever. But segment 3, here we go. So now we're finally getting to the point where it's Gwen and B's engagement party. So Christine, David and Christine's kids decided to road trip it down there so they could take some time to get to know each other. They got Airbnb together so they could spend time to do that. This to me was vital. It was a very good decision for Christine and David to do this. I think they should have started having more time like this before, but they're having to rush everything because they're rushing. But at least they're making an effort, and I appreciate it. And I will say this about David. He seems very easy to like and get along with. He doesn't seem very difficult. And I think that really helps when you're dealing with parents that are rushing, is if you're dealing with likable people, you don't feel as stressed as you might had it been somebody that's very unlikable. Also, Christine invites all of Janelle's kids over that are there to meet David. It's weird that Janelle's finding out about that secondhand, because when she's doing the, what are they called? The confessional sections, she acts like she didn't know that her kids were meeting David then. So I don't know. It's weird. It's odd to me that Christine wouldn't call her and be like, hey, are you okay with me introducing David to your kids? I know they're adults, but I don't know. It feels like there should be a protocol. That's why polygamy is messy to me, because people are just moving and doing what they want to do. And I feel like it's the lack of order and like, I don't know. It's just off to me. This whole situation is off. And probably because it's just moving too fast for me. And I'm getting like anxiety about something that has nothing to do with my own personal life. And that says a lot about my ADHD, because it's giving me anxiety that this is moving so fast. I will say, though, I've got to give Christine kudos for in segment 3 where she's speaking about Gwen. And Gwen, you know, deciding that, I think at one point she said she was just that she was bisexual, that she, you know, loved who she loved. Might have been pansexual. Either way, the fact that she ended up with a woman, Christine was not surprised. And she was just really happy that her child found someone, that she found somebody fantastic, and she was so happy. And this is actually one Cody moment. It was like one redeeming moment from Cody. Sometimes he randomly has these because, you know, as they say, a broken clock is right twice a day. And this is one of those times where I like that Cody basically said, hey, God told me that my job's to love. The only thing I don't like, though, is that he says God's job is to judge. And I don't feel like God's doing that. And that, to me, is some of that indoctrination peeping through. Because half of that feels really great. And then the other half is like, but don't worry, when you go, when you meet your maker, when you go to the upper room, you're still going to be judged. I'm just not going to be the one doing it on earth. No. See, a little suspicious there. So he almost had it. He almost had it, y'all. But at least he didn't come from a hateful space, from a judgmental space about it. And I appreciated that. I love that. And I'm sure if Gwen ever watches this segment, that will make her feel the same. That she'll feel really good about that. So I love that. When they move forward, y'all, David is meeting Gwen and all the kids. And Gwen asks him his age, and she makes this like throw up face. This man is not that old, y'all. Like, their age gap is like less than 10 years. There are some people in the AUB I know that have like 15, 20, 30, 40-year age gaps. And in other fundamentalist groups, huge age gaps. Like Warren Jeffs, like, is it Warren? The first one, the daddy, not the son that's in jail now, but the dad that died. That man was like in his 80s with like 16, 18-year-old wives. Crazy stuff like that. So I just thought that was weird. And I thought it was kind of messy. And for me, I'm like, why are you trying to make this man feel uncomfortable? Or it was just really off. Her reaction was really off. I just feel like some of her kids have like no coup or like no filter. And funny to me, Gwen is more like Peyton than she realizes. Like, and I believe it's those three middle kids of Christine's. Something about that tells me that they experienced abandonment to a higher degree, because at that point there were so many of them. And I'm talking McKelty, Peyton, and Gwen. Isabel was on the end, right? And she was like Christine's baby for a while. I think, how old was she? Maybe like 6 by the time Truly was born. So Isabel was Christine's baby for a long time. And then she had Aspen, which is at the top. So she's part of like the Leon, who else is in that? Maddie, Logan section, right? Right there. I think because Christine had those three right there, I think the issue with that is those three really suffered the most from their experience in Vegas, being separated from their dad. And also, just like with McKelty, just being at the tail end of too many kids. Because all three of them consistently show out, are always grasping for attention, very needy for attention. And we continuously see that, and that's why it's hard to like them. Like, there were times where I would love Gwen, and other times where I'm like, you're getting on my nerves. And this is one of those times. Tell me what you think in the comments, you guys. Do you see that? Do you see that with those three? All right, here we go. Segment 4, everyone. So Cody in segment 4 said he wasn't going to go to the engagement party, right? All of a sudden, he changes his mind, tells Robin he changed his mind. Why? I don't know. I think he must have got wind that Christine was bringing her boyfriend. He won't admit that, but I guarantee you somebody from production or somebody from the family told him that, and he was not about to let this man come in there and play dad to his family, and so he had to be there. Tell me if you think that's what it is. I feel like that's why that man showed up. He had no intention of being there because he doesn't want to see Christine. But he is not going to let Christine bring her little boyfriend there and play house and take over my family. The same family he abandoned, but nonetheless, you don't get to take that over. Side note, do you think that's why, now that I think about it, y'all, do you think that's why some of the other kids did not show up because Cody was going to be there. Because none of Janelle's boys were there. I don't remember seeing any of them. I know Peyton and Gwen don't get on, so he doesn't count. Peyton gets a pass. But also Maddie, of course, wasn't there. But she's going to have a baby, so she gets a pass too. But the boys weren't there. None of the boys were there except for Hunter, which I think Hunter just kind of like is like Switzerland about everything. It seems like he's just the one that kind of floats, right? Interesting. But I love seeing Hunter there. He's just the cutest thing ever. And he just seems so happy about being with his family and being there and around them and experiencing that. Keep in mind though, I still don't understand why Cody and Robin wouldn't make sure that they were in attendance for Gwen, period. All the older girls got everything. They got their full families. They got their family participation. Again, these few younger ones are having to get the leftovers of what their family experience should be. And it makes me really sad. Just sending an extra hug to Gwen surrounding that. So you guys, Cody's finally meeting David. Robin is trying to still be a victim in this situation. She's just like talking about all the grievances surrounding this. Like, oh, we're just going to kind of stay out their way. We're going to do this. Like, she just is always the victim. It's exhausting. I will say this, though. The sweetest thing happened here is with Aspen. Aspen is just, like, so lovely. Every time her and Isabel come on the screen, I'm just like, can you just play these two on repeat? Like, please. And add some Hunter in there. And I wish y'all could go back and get Logan, too. Because I would love to hear Logan talk about how he is seeing his mom experience the breakdown of her marriage and their divorce, and how these things have impacted him watching his mom go through this. I mean, we've heard from Garrison and Gabe, but they're a little bit younger, but I feel like that's why we love Aspen, because Aspen basically helped raise her siblings, and she really comes from a very adult perspective about everything with grace for everybody, which is very hard to do in these scenarios. And I think that Logan would be the same way, and I would be so appreciative. Logan, come back to us. Like, just give us like an hour-long special on like how you feel watching all this. I would adore that. So yeah, anyway, I went on that tangent, y'all, because Aspen in this moment basically says, yeah, I see my dad, about a few months ago, but, we live far away. It's hard to keep up with people when you live away. We could do a better job at that. And she's actually taking on some accountability to connect with Cody, and she doesn't have to. She doesn't. Because even if she tried to make effort, I don't think he'd make the effort back. But I just think she's super sweet for that. During this period, Cody and Robin are going back and forth about the scene and how about them getting tattoos and all this stuff happening. They're just really judgmental. I don't know if this comes from their church experience that they're in. It seems like they're in a very conservative system now, from what I've heard, a conservative Christian system. But my point is that you guys are with Gwen. You know Gwen is a little bit alternative, like some different things. Why are you judging this girl? Like, why are you shocked that Gwen would have a tattoo artist at her bridal shower? Is anybody shocked by that? No. I will, though, say in this moment, Mary, who also is kind of like, oh my God, tattoos. When she's talking to Gwen and interacting with Gwen, it doesn't feel like it's coming from a judgy space. Whether it was in the confessionals or whether it was in person, she's still finding a way to love on and connect with Gwen. And I feel like Gwen felt like an outcast, and so did Mary a little bit, and they have a little bond. And from some of the videos I watched where Gwen was just talking about her family and her life, she really enjoys Mary, and I'm glad that Mary will not let her weird relationships with other people stop her from being there. Like, remember, she doesn't talk to McKelty. She doesn't deal with McKelty. You didn't see her holding any of the babies either, right? According to McKelty, she doesn't want her around, but she was there for Gwen because she knows Gwen wanted her there. And that makes me really proud. I just find it interesting. We didn't see all that awkward interaction either between McKelty and Mary. Moving on, you guys, in this segment, we get a little bitty chat on the side. That house does not look that big. So I'm trying to figure out how they were able to have this little private chat between Christine and Mary, and basically Mary confirming with Christine, like, I'm left, I'm moving, and she gives her a big hug. It was really a sweet moment. I'm glad that they had it. I feel like Mary needed it. Despite Mary saying that she doesn't really trust all the way, I think maybe this is one step closer. And as Mary starts to go back, I think Mary just is really frustrated about some of the skeletons that came out of the closet for some of these last tell-alls, like one of them being how the ring was melted down. I feel like Mary carries a lot of shame and embarrassment surrounding some of those things, and I don't feel like she would have ever let any of that stuff out. But Christine doesn't care anymore, and so she's just telling it all. And Mary wasn't ready to tell it all. And I feel now, going into some of these tell-alls, we might see a different Mary. She might have a lot of stuff to air out, and I think it's allowing for her to have some forgiveness for those things, to let Christine in a little bit. I don't think they'll ever be besties, but I'm glad to see these two sister wives share that moment. I do have, though, a little light bulb question for you all. Let me know what you think of this. Do you all think Mary is more hurt than Christine and Janelle? Because as we've seen the reactions of Christine and Janelle to their divorces, they don't really seem as upset and like frustrated and having all this internal turmoil around it the way Christine and Janelle does. Do you think Mary is more hurt than them because she doesn't believe that he was not really in love with her? So when he's telling her these things, it just makes her feel worthless? Or do you think she feels the way she does because she feels guilt about bringing Robin into the family, or doing that legal divorce and letting Robin marry him? So do you think all of her hurt feelings are surrounding how Cody is acting, or do you think a little bit of it has to do with maybe some guilt she carries for bringing Robin in, and for actually divorcing him legally? Let me know in the comments. I'm also wondering, too, if Mary had more kids, because now she just has Leon. If Leon's busy, it's just her, right? She does have a really good friend group, but I'm wondering if she had more kids, would that also maybe help with how she felt? I don't know. You guys let me know. Moving on to the last segment, you guys. I'm telling you, this episode was short, but not. But it's going to be moving because there's only so much to talk about, because there really weren't that many scenes. But they take us back to the engagement party. I will say this was kind of hilarious. I feel like he must have you guys, I think Cody overheard, and he did this on purpose. But Gwen was basically saying, yeah, I got a tattoo. And B's like, yeah, I'm going to go next, because he asked her if she was getting one. And he's like, oh, you're going to get matching? And they're like, no, you know, just in the same spot. He goes, oh, yeah, that would be really cheesy if you got matching tattoos. Now, y'all know Christine and David are planning on getting this matching tattoo. Do you think Cody heard that, and now he's on TV saying it's corny or cheesy? What do y'all think? Let me know, but the timing of that was really interesting to me. Okay, you guys, I finally have another WTF moment. This episode is, it's not giving what it needs to give. But pop it in right now.
I'm here with my shy and pretty wife, my one pretty wife, and she's shy. But she's not shy with me. I have a very special bond with her.
My one pretty wife. He says, my one shy pretty wife. This guy, give me a break. Like, is he trying to say he kept the prettiest one? Because we know that's not true. And so whatever David gets is leftover. Y'all, that was so weird to me. It's very too, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, he's very possessive over Robin. It's really odd, y'all. Talking about David giving Robin more eye contact than him, that felt very possessive. That's my one pretty wife that's shy, but not shy around me, just around everybody else. That felt possessive. I'm not trying to say somebody is ABUSIVE, but it's giving that energy to me. It's very much giving that energy to me. I don't know how y'all feel, but that was so creepy to me. And I'm like, why was that the thought in your head? So odd. Here we go, y'all. This This should not be a moment where Mykelti's there. Why is Mykelti standing between Cody and Robin facing Christine and David when Christine's finally introducing David to those two? Why is she in this scene? Just because they had her baby, she could have sat off to the side. If they started crying, she could come up. But she is so needy for attention, desperate for attention, desperate to try to get a clip in a scene so she could stay relevant on this show, that she's in a scene she has no business being in. And then I'm looking at her. She's so annoying. Her faces she's making at her mom. I was like, why is she here? She's making me uncomfortable watching this segment. It was so bad, y'all. Robin's trying to be fake nice. Cody's giving him the angry face and he's fake smiling. I mean, I felt like some creepy, like, organ music was playing in the background because that's how uncomfortable and odd and awkward this whole exchange was. And him talking about being a little, you could tell him being irritated that David has not only held his grandbabies, but watched him on his own. And Mykelti felt the need to throw that in, knowing how jealous her dad is. She's playing the game with her mom. I don't know if this is just Mykelti doing that, or her and her mom got together where they're trying to see if they can make her dad jealous. It was so weird. It was so awkward, y'all. Oh my God. If I never have to watch that segment again, I will be so thrilled and overjoyed by that. Oh, here we go. I'm excited, though, to put this mic drop in for the one and only, the queen herself, Miss Aspen. Give us the mic drop, girl.
That's neat, right? If David and my mom stay together and get married and move in together, which is what their plan is, David's going to be a big part of raising Truly. And I think that's where it's important for Dad and David to meet, is in regards to Truly.
Again, the voice of reason. Basically saying, hey, y'all are about to be co-parenting. It's really important for Cody to meet David and for them to work things out, be good, because you're still raising Truly. And Truly will now be living under the same roof as David. This is vital. I have yet to hear Christine one time mention this. Not once. And I'm thinking, even for myself, if I were to be getting married to a man and I'm already planning a wedding and all this stuff, and I haven't even met the mom of his kids, of which I might be living in the same home with, if that's not weird to y'all, I don't know what is. I'll tell you what, maybe that's just new age people that we're thinking that way, because we saw a lot of dysfunctional interactions between step parents and you know, former spouses. We saw a lot of dysfunction with those. And I think maybe especially millennials are like, yeah, let's not do it that way. How about we meet up front early on, start to form a bond and trust between each other. So by the time you get to the point where you're married, everybody feels good and great about what's happening. Not wait until the point where you're already looking at rings, picking out homes, and now your former spouse is meeting him. The only reason I'm going to give Christine a slight pass here is because Cody low-key is a deadbeat. But y'all are also on TV, so you know he's going to be around. I don't know. I just felt Aspen was, like, incredibly adult. Once again, she's the adult in the room. Cody talks about Christine, like, oh, he said, oh, I saw them, like, looping arms. And this is when I saw, too, where Christine, you know, is, like, putting her head on David's shoulder, right? You guys tell me, do you think this was her trying to show off in front of Cody to get a rise out of him, to see if he'd be irritated to see her having intimacy with another man? Or do you think she was just so over the situation in Cody and Robin that she'd almost kind of blacked out and like tapped out of the situation mentally and was just kind of going with the flow of what she normally does around David, which they're always all over each other. So it doesn't feel abnormal for her to put her head on his shoulder or do any of that. It feels like that's pretty something she just likes to do with him. Which one do you think it is? Do you think she was kind of like mentally blacked out over the moment, was just kind of stressed out to the max of even having to have this interaction? Or do you think she was trying to show off in front of Cody to see if she could get a reaction from him? Either way, I'm not that bothered. Moving on, y'all. Robin says that it's going to be hard to say Christine's boyfriend and it doesn't feel right and what she thinks doesn't matter. And I'm going to reiterate to her, Correct. What you think does not matter. And that's it. I really don't care. She also talks about that there could be problems. And I'm like, Robin, what problems could there be? The only way there would be problems is if Cody acts out. Otherwise, everybody else is trying to move on and live their lives. I don't know why you and Cody won't go live yours and be happy, because everybody else is doing their thing. They've left you behind. I'm really proud of also Christine for acknowledging that this was basically taking over Gwen's moment with her fiance, and that was supposed to be about her, and that she was generous enough to allow her father to come to that, knowing that it would take away from what was about her. And if you're a kid, like I said, that has rarely been the center of attention, when it finally comes to you and it's your turn and it's still monopolized by everybody else, I mean, that can be really hurtful, really difficult. So again, I'm just going to give a little extra love to Gwen, even though she's incredibly attention seeking and she was getting on my last nerves a little bit in this episode. I understand where that behavior comes from, right? Ultimately, the episode ends with Christine saying she's not inviting Cody and Robin to her wedding. Well, duh, we probably figured that. That's no shock. And looking on to the next week's episode, y'all, it looks like they're going to be moving forward at a faster pace. Like they're going to be at a position where Christine and David have already bought their home. So they're moving this along. They did say that it was going to catch us up by the end of this season. If somebody can tell me how many episodes, I haven't been on like IMDb yet to see how many episodes this full season is and how many tell-alls are looking to have. I cannot wait for the tell-alls. That's my favorite. Those, I'm trying to see how much Mary's going to put on the line. And I also want to have another conversation. I hope they get on film. Robin, Cody, Janelle, and Mary all having a sit-down meeting about what's happening with Coyote Pass. I hope that's on film, y'all, because I want to see if Mary is going to see Cody try to pull a fast one and Robin try to pull a fast one, or if they're actually going to do right by her. I don't know, y'all. We'll see what's going to happen, but that's the end of the episode. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm so sorry, guys. It's late, but I had to re-record it because I had no audio for half of it, and that just would not have worked. But if you love what you saw and you want to come back, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Make sure you turn on your notifications. We'll be over here talking about Sister Wives, having a good time. Thanks for being in those comments, y'all. You're doing a great job in the comments, and you're, like I said, you're being incredibly respectful, and I appreciate it. Until next time, I'll see you next week. Bye.